Why is the United States obsessed with Cuba? Why did Trump just threaten to sanction any country that provides them with gasoline? Why did we feel the need to put them under a diplomatic and economic embargo for the past 60 years? Well, for one reason, and one reason only. We see Cuba as ours. It's our backyard, our sphere of influence, our territory. Cuba annoys the absolute piss out of the United States because just 90 miles off of our shoreline is a country offering an alternative to the American way. Now, I'm not saying it's necessarily a very inviting alternative. I certainly have plenty of criticisms of Cuba's internal politics and how they decide to run their country, but it is their country, and it is their internal politics, not ours. At the same time, it is impossible to talk about Cuba's internal politics without referencing the United States. We are an ever-present factor in the lives of everyday Cubans. The United States is a fascist country, and fascism is inherently unstable. It can only reach temporary stabilization through internal purges or external expansion. Now, Donald Trump and his regime understand that they've pushed a little too hard on the internal purges lately. But if there's one thing he's learned from previous presidents is you can always get Americans excited about a war. In a similar way, Russia, as it is collapsing under internal authoritarian repression, can still reliably get a significant portion of the Russian population excited about colonial adventures abroad, like in Ukraine. The history of Cuba is impossible to understand outside of United States intervention. In many ways, Cuba can be understood not as a failure of socialism, but a success of American imperialism. America has denied Cuba access to credit pathways. It has denied it from importing much-needed goods or exporting the goods that they have to sell. And it's had the effect of isolating the Cuban Revolution from anyone who might support it. Now, we don't need Cuba, but what pisses us off is that Cuba doesn't seem to need us. They don't seem very eager to accept the American-backed regime change, which has turned the rest of Latin America into a democratic paradise. So you're probably going to see a lot about Cuba in the coming days, including criticisms of its government, criticisms of the United States intervention. If you want to engage responsibly with those criticisms, I highly recommend you do some reading. In this case, you can hardly do better than Aviva Chomsky's book, A History of the Cuban Revolution. It is comprehensive, nuanced, and critical, and most importantly, it tells the story of the Cuban Revolution by centering the ever-present threat of American imperialism. What do you think is going to happen to Cuba? Are we going to leave it alone? Or are we trying to find ourselves our 51st state?